Yes, everyone. As Jeff mentioned, I wanted to go ahead and cover buy downs again. I'm sorry to keep harping on this, but I cannot resist continuing to remind everybody why this is the best strategy to use in the current market. And a little bit of background. I was at a couple of local here in the desert real estate events, both with the California Desert Association of Realtors and the Greater Palm Springs Realtors the last couple of days. And some of the scuttlebutts, some of the discussion during those events was we are seeing some increase in inventory. In fact, in Palm Springs, the amount of inventory has crept up to about a 4-month supply based on the sale rate. So that's an indication to you, if you've been on the fence about buying a home, that we're starting to see enough change in the current conditions that buyers will have a little bit more leverage than they've had before. Now, a lot of my buy down discussions, all the examples I've been giving you, I've focused almost entirely on the 3-2-1 buy down. That's the most powerful buy down scenario that is available to a prospective home buyer. But I've gotten a little bit of feedback that, in some markets, it's not at a level, the inventory is not at a level where you expect that you can get enough seller concession to fully fund that 3-2-1 buy down, meaning there's some concession possibilities out there, but maybe not enough to cover that 3-2-1. So what I want to point out today is don't forget about the 2-1. The 2-1 buy down is a shorter period. It's 2 years instead of 3. You don't go as deep on that first year rate, but I still think it's a great option if you think there's a little bit of concession available and trying to make an offer at a home, but not quite enough to fund that 3-2-1. So this is why I think a 2-1 buy down can also be said to be the bomb. So let me give you the assumptions. I looked up a listing in Palm Desert. And in Palm Desert, the average purchase price of a home right now is about $700,000. So I found this listing, and it's a live listing. You can look it up. 4-bedroom home, 3.5 baths, 2,389 square feet on a quarter-acre lot with a pool and spa. Been on the market for 45 days. So let's first look at what would your financing be if you're interested in that home. You're going to put 20% down to get that 30-year mortgage that Warren Buffett says is the greatest product out there. Well, with 20% down, your loan amount's going to be $560,000 at a current rate of 6.5. Your monthly principal and interest is $35.40. Now, if you think you're going to be able to get a concession out of the seller, as I say all the time, the most common sort of knee-jerk reaction in terms of a strategy is you submit an offer below list price, and you think in this case you can get away with $15,000 as your concession. So you're not going to offer $700,000, you're going to offer $685,000. Now, with 20% down, that does lower your loan amount from $560,000 to $548,000. Well, what does that do to your payment? That lower loan amount of $548,000 means your principal and interest is $34.63. Well, compare that to list price offer at 20% down. Yes, you're going to receive, or you're going to achieve, a $77 a month lower payment on the mortgage than if you offered full price. So is there some benefit there? There, of course. But again, it's only $77 a month. A lot of folks are kind of surprised that a $12,000 reduction in loan amount only achieves that kind of monthly savings. But as I say often on the show, at current rate levels, every $1,000 borrowed is only about $6.5 a month in monthly payment. Well, if you do the math right there, that's what it works out to be. What I argue to do is, and I say this now more commonly, friends don't let friends offer below list price. What you want to do, if you see a home you like, and this actually, when I looked at this listing, this is a pretty nice home. If you're interested in this home, don't be tempted because you think there's some concession on the table that you can capture. Don't be tempted to just go below list price. Offer full price and get that concession in dollars from the seller, from their proceeds, so that you can apply that towards your financing. In this scenario, let me show you what that means. You submit an offer at the list price, $700,000. You ask for a $15,000 seller credit, and you're going to use that for a 2-1 buy down and closing costs. So your offer will be $700,000, your loan amount $560,000, just like our assumption at the top. But first year, your interest rate is going to not be 6.5 that you're paying on, but 4.5. Your principal and interest is going to be $28.37. That's $703 a month lower than if you offered full price at market rate. The second year, your interest rate's going to be at 5.5. Well, at 5.5, your principal and interest payments $31.80 for the second year. That's $360 a month lower payment than a full price offer at market rate. Now, on a 2-1 buy down, the cost of the buy down is about $12,745. That means the buyer will then have $2,255 left over from that $15,000 seller concession to apply toward closing costs. So that way you're getting both a significant payment benefit the first 2 years, as well as getting some of your closing costs reduced, so their cash out of pocket to complete the purchase for down payment and closing costs is going to be lower because you still got that couple $1,000 to offset your closing costs. Again, this is a great example of why I think buy downs are the bomb. Friends should not let friends offer below list price. If you want to get a concession, get it in seller credit dollars. Let us show you how you can apply it to your loan for buy downs, closing costs, or both. It's a great way to get into home ownership where you have some affordable payments for the first 2 to 3 years. And then again, exercising that one-way bet, you're able to then, when mortgage rates do fall, you can refinance that mortgage note rate and get a new lower mortgage note rate, and then have that for another 30 years. Plus the fact, if you do that before the buy down period is over, you're able to still get those remaining buy down dollars. They're either applied towards your payoff when you refinance, or in some cases the lender will send you a check for the unused portion of the buy down money. So this is a way for us, for you as a home buyer, prospective home buyer, to do what we call marry the home and then date the interest rate. So keep that in mind. It's still an effective strategy to use today, because when those rates do finally start falling back into the fives and hopefully into the fours, if you buy a home now, you're going to see some appreciation of that home that's going to help you build wealth long term. So I hope you understand that particular scenario, that a 2-1 buy down is a good option if you don't think you can get enough concession from the seller to fund a 3-2-1. A 2-1 buy down can be a great alternative.